Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 10, Do Not Disturb, which I'm glad is the title of the episode and not its stated goal, because if it was the latter, it would have failed. The episode is rated TVMA, so will this video be? There will be spoilers for everything live-action Walking Dead leading up to and including this episode, but not for any of it after. And yeah, another episode I absolutely loved. Let's dive right in. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I think it works. It's working really well the way that they are, jumping between the different. They split them into three groups, and now we're seeing. We spent an entire episode with Nicholas, and now this one is divided between Travis, Chris, and Alicia looking for Madison and Strand. And yeah, I think also just the very effective opening, because like I appreciate the way that they let us really sit with it, because we know immediately, okay, this is not gonna end well. I mean, we recognize this is the hotel. We've already seen, you know, the the entire the aftermath of this wedding. I guess I'll briefly note. So I meant to say in my video on the episode before this one, but it goes even better here. Honestly, these two episodes, the opening theme being so aggressive has really worked. Maybe if they can keep that up, you know. But yeah, I'll see. I can imagine most people watching these videos probably already have watched past this. Anyway, I think that pretty much covers the yeah, and also just the way that they really these assholes really made us care. You got the thing about like this, we're waltzing, just like just it's classy, just be classy, and just god damn it. And yeah, we have the thing about like we're leaving because of the disease spreading. No, those are just rumors on the internet. And then like, I don't know, less than a minute later, she's locking everyone inside the room, which like, I mean, I guess she never said that she had no faith in rumors on the internet. She just wanted to make sure they knew. Seriously though, yeah, it's a good way to show, because yeah, that is the thing. Like, there's a lot, it's a very distinct piece of human nature that we will sometimes ignore something until it's in our backyard. And yeah, really, really cool seeing, so she locks the door. She didn't even call for the rest of them, but to be fair, she thought it was airborne. Why wouldn't she? What would convince her that that was definitely not the case at this point? And I guess that pretty much does bring us to the yeah, so Alicia. No, wait, I think then yeah, the next thing is Travis and Chris. So yeah, the let's see. They are yeah, they're walking. Well, one of them is, the other one is stumbling. And yeah, it is genuinely quite the relief when they find a car and are able to yeah. And I love the way that so early in the episode, you have that thing about like, there's that exchange. I can take care of, I can protect myself. That's what I'm worried about. And after he agrees, double back if he sees a walker, which like sort of not immediately. He doesn't end up doing it immediately, but yeah, in a manner of speaking, I suppose he lives up to that. But yeah, so he goes for the um right, yeah, right before he leaves. And yeah, that thing about like, you should learn how to do this. And Chris is like, I'm well, might as well kill two birds with one stone. There might be supplies right over there, walking distance. Nothing's wrong with Chris's legs, and it's again this thing of like he's trying to grow up, maybe too fast. And yeah, I love the way that yeah, over the course of the episode, like Travis is trying to trust him, and by the end of the episode, he has killed again. And it's again this thing of like, it is getting increasingly difficult to justify and say, no, 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 he had to. He felt like he had to. Because, like, I can appreciate, yeah, I would say he would probably argue, well, how was I supposed to know that the guy who lives here wouldn't keep shooting us? But yeah, because we have that moment of like, okay, if you're sure you're gonna double back, if you see a walker, here, have the rebar, because there's other stuff he might use it for. Maybe he has to break into something. So that's quite the vote of confidence, and by the end of the episode, he has betrayed Travis's confidence, and it is like genuinely, yeah, I am really not sure that Travis is going to be able to pull him back from the edge. I think he is crossing into just and that is of course I think maybe I have already said in at least one video on the show, but that is of course something I understand. I'm not a parent myself, but I understand a lot of parents. It's one of their greatest fears, kid of theirs going bad. But yeah, he almost immediately realizes, oh, there's people here, because he hears them, and then he sees, human beings who were killed clearly by other human beings, because look at how they're positioned. Like, yeah, they weren't even attempted eaten by walkers or anything. And he decides to steal some food instead of doubling back. Is there any chance that Travis just didn't explain double back properly and Chris thinks, double back, steal from people who might kill us? And I guess that, yeah, really, really cool. So yeah, the walkers come through, and then, those three, I mean, frat bros, right? We agree that's what they are. So the bros, also come out, and yeah, like genuinely, he did definitely save life there. So that's yeah. I guess that pretty much, yeah. And so he manages to run away with the stuff he grabbed, and they drive for a while, but are eventually caught up to. But yeah, and he says, I ran just like you said. And then later, because he fucked up by lying, he should have just been like, okay, I'm sorry, I did technically do it, so just so you don't hear it from them. But I also appreciate at that time he has no idea they're gonna ever see them again. So yeah, I believe that is the part where Alicia gets out of the yeah, she leaves the, yeah, great bit where she's like counting how many of them there are. I forget, was it maybe 10 or something? That's a lot to deal with for one person. And she tries to escape from there and surrounded. Very, very cool. She starts like T-1000 the elevator, and jumps onto the, I forget what it's called, cable, I guess. And yeah, very clever. They can just barely not quite reach her. If they could step just a tiny bit closer without falling, obviously one of them would have been, at least one of them would have been able to scratch her face, but without the, yeah. And then right up above, you know, um, yeah, I'm afraid I forget her name, but the hotel worker is there, and yeah, and she's like, take my hand. Is everything a wedding with you? Jesus Christ. And as soon as Alicia is out, she puts the what's it called, the wood part of the handle up against her neck. Which is, yeah, she doesn't know that Alicia has nothing to do with the, she, she happens to be neither bride or groom's side. And, I think that is when we go back to the father-son, yeah, and, he keeps trusting Chris, and Chris, he does actually come through on the driving. He understands. And there was that bit where we're sitting there thinking, please do not run over the walker. You know how Travis is going to feel about that. And thankfully he doesn't, And they make camp, and they have that conversation about, well, what are we going to do? Well, we'll rebuild, or whatever it was he said, because yeah, he is still trying to find a positive, trying to be optimistic and all. And Jesus Christ, yeah, I don't know. I mean, who am I to say that that's the wrong thing to do in the circumstance? He is trying to, calm down this teenager who we already know needs stability, clearly. And I think before it cuts back to the others, we have the bit with the yeah, so the car, and they need to kill the fire, so reverse hotfoot, I guess, is one way to describe it. Probably not a very good one. And yeah, the thing about listen, we already know you're there. We're gonna make camp here, so why don't you just come out so we don't pee on you by accident? And Travis is like, okay, here we are. And I just want there to be an outtake where the frat leader is like, great, now we can pee on you on purpose. But yeah, and the negotiation with the thing, well, I saved your life. Do you want, what was it? Do you want to argue or do you want to eat? And they start calling him Killer Chris, which he does not seem to mind. And we have the thing about 17. Yeah, and the fact that they're encouraging him, yeah, it's such a wonderful, because this literally is, once again, something a lot of parents worry about is, oh, what if the kid falls in with the wrong crowd? Add to that he's killing, I mean, mostly walkers, thankfully, but still, and yeah, then you have these, and of course they're gonna be like, oh, that's so cool, man, just Jesus Christ. And yeah, oh my God, the part where, how did you learn how to kill like that? Was it your dad? And Travis is like, no, it most definitely was not. And I think, yeah, and they have the, there's the thing about listen, we'll carve, or we'll carve something. Where, or carve what, I think he said, but he's asking, where are you gonna do that, And yeah, the thing about listen, we'll give you a ride. Just, yeah, I mean, it is kind of why would they give gas if they're offering a ride like that? Is, but yeah, it is. There's the thing about trust, and he points out, I don't want to be in their debt. Yeah, I believe that's when we get, so yeah, Alicia and the hotel employee are talking about, the situation, and we have the thing about the yeah, Hector is out there, and the, they are holding him, and yeah, and genuinely so cool, so tense and suspenseful with the thing about I have to go down there so I can save my mom. She wouldn't want me to do it, but she would do it for me. And the thing about well, we'll have to clear the stairs then. And also love the thing of, we see, and so does Alicia, the pile of excuse me, do not disturb signs. And yeah, at that point it's completely clear it must be her that and I really appreciate that little detail, because you could have just had Alicia be like, are you the one who did, which I don't know. I mean, there's some chance, but without something a little bit more concrete, But yeah, and genuinely fantastic sequence. The luring them into one of the rooms, locking them in, putting the do not disturb on, and then they start to break through the fucking glass. Jesus Christ. And yeah, incredible. Like, I genuinely thought, oh, well, Alicia, nice to know you. I do not think you're gonna be okay if you fall. But thankfully, she did manage to get, yeah. And yeah, good point about, like, why did it take so long? Well, I had to make sure it was clear, remember? Because, like, otherwise we're fucked. And yeah, I think that does get us back to Chris and Travis. So they do agree to a ride. And oh, right, I completely missed. So I did want to briefly comment on, you have the introduction scene. So one of them is baby James. So 2 adults and 1 baby. I am not an expert on the matter. We would have to ask Dr. Oz to find out if this group is indeed underbabied. No, I don't think we should forget how fucking weird prominent conservative Americans are. I was originally gonna say can be, but at this point, like, who hasn't said or done something that just has the rest of us being like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Just Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, I think it was Seth Meyers who pointed out, like, if what you mean is they're not having as many children as you think they should, say that. Like, why are you saying it like that? Jesus Christ. Anyway, I think that does bring us... Let's see. There's at least one more thing about the... Yeah, we have the... Oh my God, so gross, them talking... The way they talk about, this woman as just a conquest. And, yeah. Then, as if it wasn't bad enough, the leader of the bros says, he doesn't just say we're free, he says we're gods. Yeah, that's not what a concerned parent wants to hear from the people he's already unhappy about his kid hanging out with. God complex, fantastic. And I also just love that there's so many little moments throughout the episode where we really see, yeah, like, Chris is really getting along. And we've seen him around his peers before. I mean, before he started being so weird and creepy, clearly, like, Nick and Alicia were trying to be there for him, but the whole situation is, of course, awkward. And, back at school, like, before the protest, he didn't really feel like he belonged, and, it's not like he can go back there now. So here he's got some peers he gets along with, or, and technically not the very first time, but it's rare for him. And that's a really difficult situation for the parent that he already has some issues with, to try to drag him kicking and screaming away from. That's very, very difficult. I think that does cover that bit. So the next thing I think is when so the hotel employee and Alicia make it down to the area, and it's like, well, somebody locked this. Maybe it was my mom, and it turns out that was indeed the case. That there must have been, because they weren't in there. And oh my God, that moment where it wasn't very many seconds, but I was thinking, is that actually Madison? And just, God, the fucking relief. I guess I should briefly note, so I appreciate that technically, so far, the Modern Family unit has been largely safe. Like, it really has only been Chris's mother who's died. But at the same time, there have been other deaths. Like, I was not expecting Daniel. I thought he was going to last longer. We still don't know what happened to Ophelia by the end of this episode. And yeah, I mean, a bunch of characters from season 1 I thought would be on the show longer, and then, turned or died or something. And I think they're doing enough interesting things. And, to be fair, so far, for a while, not quite so far, but for a while, the Grimes family unit was also pretty much safe, and then they did kill off Sarah Wayne Callies. And yeah, the let's see, Lori. Anyway, so it's not impossible that they might do that. And this started with a larger family unit, so it's yeah. I mean, technically, it's not that different. They killed off one member of the Modern Family unit sooner than the original series. And yeah, I think it's I really appreciate this thing of like splitting them up and doing different things. And oh my god, the part where Chris calls Travis on, you don't want to go too far away because you think you might still meet back up with Madison. That is definitely something that is making decisions in this. Yeah. So and I really appreciate it. So the I mean, we, the audience, already knew, and I quite like, because yeah, we were like, wait, is she gonna, is she gonna do this again? But by the end of the episode, I felt confident that I really don't think she will. I would be very surprised if she does in a later episode. But yeah, and she does eventually explain to Alicia what happened, and Alicia still chooses to save her because she opens the door to the walkers and calls out, "Hey, hide with me here." She could have left the hotel employee at the mercy of the walkers and the remains of the wedding party. But yeah, and there's also a thing of so I understand that at least some people were unhappy with, they felt that the show didn't distinguish itself enough from the original series. So far, I'm very happy with it. I will acknowledge this is a little reminiscent of the what was the other it was the priest, it was Father Gabriel in the original series. But I mean, a church and a hotel is not quite the same thing, and it was also somewhat different context. She did just talk about the safety of this hotel and this, yeah, because I mean, at a hotel, like, it might cost you thousands of dollars in a shorter amount of time, I mean, compared to a church. I don't necessarily begrudge small churches for tithing, but mega churches can go and fuck themselves. Well, not literally, because they're inanimate objects, but yeah. Have you ever noticed how, when it comes to conservative Americans, especially white ones, Christian ones, the one time they, like, most of the time they would say, no, you can't do that. But if it's a mega church pastor who wants another fucking private jet because there's demons on, I don't know if I'll ever forget the fact that this fucker actually said, no, don't you dare say that I called other people, that I called the passengers on commercial planes demons. Okay, first of all, you don't get to be that angry after you say something that really fucking sounds like that's what you said. Second of all, explain. Like, you should have done that at first. You should, instead of saying, oh, you're surrounded by demons, just say, I don't like noise pollution. Which also just, like, you get that that's not a thing on every fucking plane, right? Like, listen, I haven't flown that many times in my life. I would say a pretty decent percentage of the times I have, it was easy to avoid. Like, I don't even remember, maybe there were like noise canceling headphones, and that, that was a thing when this guy made these statements as well. But like, I've been able to sleep on airplanes, and normally I can't sleep in, that kind of circumstance at all, even if, I'll be awake for a ridiculous amount of hours instead if I'm traveling very far. But anyway, that's the one time where conservative Christians would say, no, 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 yeah, go ahead and beg. Anyway, I guess that is... It would also bother me less if they were only getting that money from rich assholes. I guess I don't have to say assholes after I say rich, do I? But, speaking of assholes, if you haven't already watched... So, yeah, Graham Plattner. I don't really have much to add, but I will direct... He's the asshole I'm referring to be clear. If you haven't already watched, both Cavernacle and Rebecca... oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on her last name. Watson, I want to say. Skeptic. They both made excellent videos talking about the way that entirely too many prominent leftists, because yes, we do call each other out when we're fucking wrong, the way they talked about the, yeah, that whole situation. And the hateful shit they said about a woman who had come forward with a rape accusation. That is just, yeah. As they point out, it's like, believe women until one of them's conservative. And that's really any leftist who would stop believing women under those circumstances, you really need to examine that, because that's really fucked up. There's a number of things where I would question what conservatives say. Rape accusations is not one of those. The moment that you accuse someone else of sexually predatory behavior at all, that should be looked into. And at this point, I guess I should briefly note, I'm, for example, talking about how some of them will say that it is Jewish people who are ruining the world, when it's like, I mean, it's rich people. Some of them are Jewish. A bunch of them are Christian, conservative, cishet white men. And the ones who aren't inherently worse because they do not belong to the majority. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so the, yeah, I did really like Alicia siding with, because also, like, they're like, well, she deserves to die. I mean, I understand why you feel that way. The fuck does that have to do with Alicia? Like, what makes you so confident that she knows what happened there, So, anyway, I think that does bring... And there was also... It was a relief that she was reunited with Hector. And so they make a run for it, and, yeah, goddamn, the part where... So they're... Yeah, they find the door, they can't quite open it. Hector, tries to break it down with the shoulder, and then the door opens, and it's Madison, and they get in. And, like, they don't even have to say it out loud. Like, we understand immediately, oh, right. Yeah, they pushed this piece of furniture in front of the door, and it took those, like, if you actually watch, like, I didn't count, but it wasn't that many seconds. It was just that we were on the edge of our seat during that time. But yeah, I would say the amount of time between the first time they tried to open the door and the door actually opening, I could see that working for the amount of time it would take to move this piece of furniture away. Because it looks like it covered the door entirely, so that is like, I don't know, almost a meter, I think they would have to push it, and clearly it's fucking heavy. So nicely done on that. And yeah, so we have the they arrive at farm. And yeah, that thing about like maybe we could stay here. That's not where Chris's head's at. He wants to be with the bros. And yeah, they're gonna kill and eat a chicken for protein, which like I mean that is a good source for sure. Yeah, I mean if you don't mind scaring the chickens, that's never been my my father has chickens. I like it better when they've adjusted to your presence and they're just like, oh, okay, you want me to move so you can get to the eggs? Okay, fine. Ooh, food, good. Instead of them running away when you're trying to feed them. I forget if I've already said this in a video. I'll keep it short just in case. But there was this one time where Dad had just gotten new chickens and I was supposed to feed them, and he had made this like small enclosure, where you could throw something over the what do they call it? The wooden the fencing, And so they were all hanging out in this one it was like a square, and they were hanging out very close to the edge of one of them. And I tried to just gently drop the food, like maybe less than a meter from where they were standing, and they fucking bolted, like they ran over to the exact opposite end. And I was like, idea. So I walked over to where they were now standing, and then I dropped the right. Part of the story is I was supposed to drop specifically 2 handfuls of grain. I forget. It's been a while. So I dropped that where they were now standing, and so once again they bolt to the other end, and as soon as they are over there, they start eating. But that's chickens for you. But yeah, I can imagine if you don't mind scaring the chickens, it would probably be fun to run around chasing them because they are fucking fast. The only way that you have a chance is indeed this kind of thing, because they can't really go anywhere. Once the door's closed again. Yeah, and Travis finds the crosses and realizes there's someone there, and they're on his fucking property, so they have to get out. And that is he apparently doesn't speak English. Understandable. It's Mexico. I'm not one of those people who are like, why can't these people just fucking speak English? Not in a fucking foreign country. No, don't be an asshole. God damn. But yeah, he might not speak English, but he understood that was his cue when Travis starts talking about like they're on somebody else's property. And right, also I appreciate the reference, the thing, Montezuma's revenge, because is there anything to drink? Well, water. But yeah, it's a standoff, and God, this fucking douchey bro, we outnumber you. This fucking, because literally, if they just put down the chicken and then back away, and he fucking snaps the neck of the, like, just to show that he can. I get like, you literally, I'm sorry, I don't think I believe that this guy didn't realize that there was at least a decent chance that would be read as like a like a power move, just basically saying, look at what we can get away with, make your move kind of thing. Because I feel pretty confident these guys have definitely watched too many fucking westerns, or maybe more like action flicks or something. But yeah, and just real quick, I love both of those genres. Anyway, I think I'm just saying, don't use them as a fucking manual. Anyway, I guess that does yeah. God damn it. Yeah, I've said what I had about Chris, but I'm continuing to really enjoy seeing this exploration because it genuinely is like, that's the thing. At the start of this episode, it was very much like maybe, maybe not. But by the end, it's like, yeah, if he's around bad influences, that's, yeah, this is it. It's not going to, this is what happens. He is still too impressionable, and yeah, I feel like that pretty much does cover. Yeah, really looking forward to more. Shouldn't be too many more days before I do the next episode. And yeah, I I did have a tiny bit more about the first scene, the flashback bit. Heh. The yeah, this thing of like, so they waltz, which is of course wedding tradition, and then you have this exchange about like, listen, there is a zombie virus going around. We're gonna have to cut this short. Which I don't think that is traditionally how it goes, though I appreciate, like, you probably wouldn't want to stay either. And then, of course, genuinely, like, it's such a roller coaster of emotion when you see the father of the bride, collapse. Because, like, yeah, it's a context where you might have a heart attack. He's scared of what is going to happen with this virus, and he looks of the age where you might have a weaker heart, and then of course, like, as soon as we see him fall, like, we know this is not going to go well. I suppose that is also a tiny bit similar to the part in the original series with Governor, and the father of the, but again, I thought it was distinctly different enough. Uh, but then, of course, the father turns from dead to undead and bites his own daughter. And I'm sorry, at this point, I feel confident in asserting that cannot be tradition.